You're born in a gibang, a courtesan house in Joseon, Korea, 1572. Your mother holds you for exactly 1 hour before the hengsu, the head Kisaeng, takes you away to check your fingers, your feet, your face. She nods once. You'll do. Your name goes into the gijo, the government registry, before you can even cry for milk. Most children inherit their father's name. You inherit your mother's chains. They call it jongmobo, the law of following the mother. Daughters of Kisaeng become Kisaeng. No exceptions. Your fate was sealed before you took your first breath. That's how it starts. Your life as a Kisaeng. You're 6 when training begins. The hengshu lines up 15 girls in the courtyard and says, 10 of you will become first-tier Kisaeng. The rest will be sold to dock taverns, where sailors pay in rice, cloth, or whatever a desperate man can barter. Look at a girl beside you. She's your competition. The girl beside you is Wol Hyang. She's 7, sold by her father after her mother died in childbirth. She's trembling. You take her hand anyway, because competition is tomorrow's problem, and loneliness is tonight's. Your mother visits between performances, smelling of rice wine and other men's breath, cheap incense clinging to her sleeves. She teaches you to hold a gayagum before you can properly hold a brush. Your fingers are your fortune, she whispers. The girls with clumsy hands end up in the dock taverns. You know what happens there. You don't, but the way she says it makes your stomach clench. Training breaks girls like kindling. You learn to sit motionless for 4 hours while your legs scream. You learn to pour tea without a ripple, because a rippled cup means the bamboo rod. A girl named Sonyi cries on the 5th day. By the 10th day, she doesn't cry anymore. By the 20th day, she doesn't speak anymore. They send her somewhere. No one tells you where. Inspectors come regularly. They score your music, your posture, your obedience. Fail often enough and you're reassigned. From banquets to backrooms. From silk stages to cheap taverns. Alive but fading. Wol Hyang's hands shake when she plays. You practice with her every night, correcting her fingering, drilling her until moonset. She's your only friend. You won't let to taverns take her. She fails her first inspection anyway. One more chance, the Hongsu says. Then she's gone. You practice harder, both of you. Your fingers crack and bleed. You wrap them and keep playing because stopping means the docks. And the docks mean death, just slower. Second inspection. Wol Hyang passes. Barely. You allow yourself 1 night of relief. Third inspection. The inspector is different, harsher. He fails 4 girls, including Wol Hyang. You watch them drag her away, screaming your name. You don't scream back. You stand perfectly still, face empty, because showing emotion is weakness. And weakness is death in the gibang. 3 months later, you hear she's dead. Sailors. Disease. 12 years old. You stop making friends after that. By 10, you're learning classical Chinese alongside the sons of Yangban nobles. You memorize poetry, study philosophy, train your voice until it can make drunk men weep. The irony burns. The most educated women in Joseon are also the lowest. You have the mind of an aristocrat and the body of a slave. Your mother is demoted that year, 30 years old, too old for first-year performance. They give her a sewing needle instead of a gayagum. You visit her in the back rooms where fading Kisaeng go to be forgotten. She looks at you with hollow eyes and says, be better than me. Be so good they can never throw you away. You look at her, bent over silk with ruined fingers, and you see your future. Unless you're exceptional, unless you're perfect. Are you exceptional? You don't know yet. You're 12 when they put up your hair. The coming of age marker that tells the world you're no longer a child. The ceremony costs someone a fortune. A wealthy merchant pays for the privilege. He's 53, smells like fermented bean paste, and tonight you belong to him. You survive it by counting ceiling beams. 47. You think of Wol Hyang and tell yourself, this is the price of not becoming her. Your stage name is Myonghwa, bright flower. The Hojang, the government official who tracks every Kisaeng like livestock, writes it in his register. Twice, monthly. You report to him so he knows you haven't fled. Where would you go? Your face is in the registry. The only way out is death, or a patron rich enough to buy your freedom. And men like that don't marry Kisaeng. They collect them, use them, and throw them away like garbage. Your first real performance is at the governor's banquet. 30 Yangban nobles watch you dance the gomu, the sword dance. The blades aren't real, but they're heavy. One wrong move means no patron, no protection, no future. You don't make a wrong move. By 15, you're the most requested Kisaeng in the province. You're a celebrity in silk chains, famous for talents that will never free you. You take a lover, a young scholar named Junwoo who writes you real poetry. He talks about buying your freedom, running away together. You let yourself believe him for 3 months. Then his father finds out. Yangban don't marry Kisaeng. Junwoo is shipped to a distant posting. His farewell letter is 4 lines long. You burn it without crying. The older Gisaeng have a saying, love is a luxury for women who own themselves. You're 17 when the royal court summons you to perform. You perform a court jongjae, slow, exact, rehearsed until your joints feel carved from wood, before the ministers who've read your poetry. The king himself nods approval. They offer you a position at court, first tier Gisaeng. You say yes. What else can you say? Court life is a different prison. A rival spreads rumors you seduced a married minister. Scandal sticks to Gisaeng like ink to paper. You survive by becoming indispensable, trading information the chief minister's spies can't gather. It's not freedom, but it's power. You're 20 when the Japanese invade, 1592. Hideyoshi's army takes Seoul in 3 weeks. The court flees north. You're left behind because entertainers aren't worth saving. You're assigned to General Keyamura's retinue in Jinju after the fortress falls. 70,000 Koreans lie dead. You're supposed to smile and pour wine like your country isn't bleeding. There's another Gisaeng there, Nonge. She lost her husband to the siege. Her eyes carry that hollow look you remember from your mother. That night, Nonge dances for the general. She leads him to the cliff's edge to admire the moonlight. Then she wraps her arms around him, locks her fingers, and jumps. They fall together. The river swallows them both. You raise your cup to the empty air and drink to the only freedom some of us ever get. The war doesn't end quickly. It drags on for years, burning, retreating, surging back, until the last withdrawal in 1598. By then, you're 26. You survive by being useful to whoever holds the sword. But survival has a price. At 22, your career was already fading. There's always a younger flower. You're demoted to second tier. At 26, a minister takes interest in you. He visits twice a week for 3 months. He's not cruel, just indifferent, which is almost worse. When your bleeding stops, you know before the physician confirms it. Pregnancy changes nothing and everything. You still perform, belly swelling beneath layered silk. The other Gisaeng whisper, some with pity, some with relief it isn't them. The minister stops visiting. He has a wife, legitimate children, a reputation. You're a complication he never asked for. The Hengsu lets you stay. You're still useful for teaching, for the administrative work younger girls can't do. But you feel yourself becoming invisible, fading into the background machinery of the Gibang. Labor comes in winter. 16 hours on a thin mat while snow falls outside. No physician, just an old woman who's done this 100 times. Her hands rough but steady. You bite through leather to keep from screaming, because screaming is weakness, and you've spent 26 years learning not to be weak. A girl. Of course it's a girl. You hold her for exactly 1 hour before the Hengsu takes her back to check her fingers, her feet, her face. She nods once. She'll do. And just like that, you understand your mother in a way you never did before. The hollow eyes, the desperate whispers, the way she looked at you like you were both her greatest joy and her deepest wound. The Hojang comes 3 days later with his ledger. He writes your daughter's name in the Gijok before she can even focus her eyes. You watch the brush move across paper, each stroke a chain link forged. Daughter of Gisaeng. Gisaeng. No exceptions. You name her Yunbi, Silver Rain, something beautiful, because her life will give her little else. You take students to stay relevant. One girl, Chun Hyang, has real talent. Never fall in love, you tell her. She doesn't listen. A young nobleman named Yi Mongryong writes her poems, sneaks into the Gibang at midnight, promises her the moon. You've heard these promises before. You've buried girls who believe them. But something impossible happens. He passes his examinations, becomes a secret royal inspector, and when a corrupt magistrate tries to claim Chun Hyang for himself, Mongryong returns, not with excuses or with a 4-line farewell letter. He returns with power, and he uses it to save her. They marry, legally, a Gisaeng's daughter and a Yangban, standing as equals before heaven. You attend the wedding in disguise, face hidden beneath a commoner's hood. You watch Chun Hyang smile the way you smiled at Junwoo 20 years ago, but her story ends differently. Her nobleman came back. You slip away before the ceremony ends. You find a quiet corner behind the kitchen, and you weep like you haven't wept since you were 12 years old, watching Wolhyang disappear through the Gibang gates. You weep for her happiness, and for the version of yourself who stopped believing such things were possible. At 31, they force you out of performance. You become a Hengsu, training the next generation. Your mother dies that winter. You find her poetry hidden in her sewing box, verses she never showed anyone. They're beautiful. They're heartbreaking. She was brilliant and no one ever knew. You start writing too. Sometimes your own lines. Sometimes you borrow safer words. You copy a sijo attributed to the famous Gisaeng poet Hwang Ji-ni. On that, I might capture the essence of this deep midwinter night. and fold it softly into the waft of a spring moon quilt, then fondly uncoil it the night my beloved returns. You're 43 when the cuffing starts. Consumption. A lifetime of cold floors and silk that looks beautiful but offers no warmth. Your students gather in the final weeks. You tell them about Nongye and the cliff, about Chunhyang's impossible love, about your mother's hidden poetry. Remember, you whisper. We preserved the songs when scholars forgot them. We carried the dances through wars. We were the memory of this kingdom. Even when the kingdom refused to remember us, they bury you in the Kisaeng cemetery. No family name, just your stage name, Myonghwa, bright flower. Your daughter stands at your grave, 16, old enough to understand what the registry means. Her name has been in the Gijok since infancy. Now the training is coming for her too. The cycle continues. You've seen Korea's version. Now meet Japan's. More polished, more controlled, and just as unforgiving. Click here to watch your life as a geisha.